Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. This is a roster update video, and this one is the big one. This is basically the culmination of everything that we have been working towards since even before the unlock of the Leviathan. So about 3-ish months. The basic structure of these videos, the major unlocks, the Galactic Legend progress, in this case GL Leia, and then rounding out the rest of our roster in the video, looking at ships and pilots, characters related to Datacrons, and then looking at any other general weaknesses that we are finding in our roster in Grand Arena, and then some advanced prep for future raids. And with major unlocks, we need to of course address Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. The event was a week ago, but I didn't want to touch the gearing until just before Grand Arena. It's also a very expensive character to gear, but we also need to of course address Galactic Legend, Leia Organa. This is the big one that we've been working towards, and if you've been watching this video series, you've been seeing me get closer and closer, and one of the things that we have been doing is tracking our gear progress. And in doing so, I've been sharing this spreadsheet. This functions largely as a heat map, which indicates which pieces of gear that I need or don't need. When it's gray, that means I have a surplus of those pieces, and we have a lot of gray throughout here. The only color, this is what I need to get Lord Vader in addition to everything that is here. And what this is showing from these colors is I'm largely in spitting distance of Lord Vader. We're not going to worry about that right now, of course, but that is an indicator of what we are going to be working on very shortly. But while I'm able to track the gear, see where I'm starting to get ahead, I can know where to use my Mark 1, Mark 2 currencies. It also allows me to know that while I'm working on the signal data, the relic materials, the chiropods, those bottlenecks that are stopping me from going after Leia immediately or some of these other characters, I can figure out which pieces I need to go after Mando Bo, to go after and make sure that I can gear up Leia after I unlock her. And that I have some of that information ready. And for instance, this is the amount of gear that I need to take Leia up to gear 11. And with this amount of gear, this is all I need are a few more chiropods, and that will make me Leia ready. Or actually, this isn't even gear 11 for Leia, this is relic 5 for Leia. But what I've also prepared is the amount of gear that I'm going to need to go after Paz Vizsla and Mando Bo Katan, in addition to taking Leia up to relic 5. And this is just with the known gear requirements for Mando Bo, but it is allowing me to start making sure I can work ahead a little bit and be ready when that time comes. And what you can see here is I'm pretty close to that too. I've got a little bit more signal data to get, a little bit more relic materials, but I'm not that bad. I made sure to grab enough carbonite circuit boards that I am ready and still have a surplus now of 240 of those. So I can start working towards Lord Vader in a lot of cases. All that I need for all those known quantities right now are chiropods and gyro computers. Just gyros, and all the other gear I have ready. And now what I am doing, since I know what I need and I am no longer in a deficit of anything, is all these smaller quantities on high frequency gear pieces like stun guns or fusion furnaces, data pads, HoloLenses. I'm working towards building up the amount of those that I have so that I can drop 1 or 2 without going negative again, so that once we see these requirements for IG-12, Grogu, and Kelleran Beck, then I have less work to do. And we begin with Cal Kestis, and we need to address Zetas, because he's going to take a bunch, but it's not just going to be him. It is going to be everything else that we are working towards. Leia, that is going to be unlocked in a couple weeks. We are going to be working towards Mando Bo, the ancillary characters related to them, Drogon, Grogu, Kelleran Beck, and then we are going to be working towards future GLs like Lord Vader. We need a ton of these things, and that's why I have unlocked my war chest for Zetas in particular. A week or so ago, I crunched the numbers to figure out how many Zetas I was going to need. It was about 240-ish. I can leave maybe 1 or 2 Zetas off off probably around 300. I'm going to start feeling safe. So I started spending my fleet currency. This was at 200k when I started it was a week or so ago when I started buying up Zetas at every single refresh. I like to hoard because it just saves flexibility, and until this point my Zeta income was sufficient. But I've also not been winning as frequently in Grand Arena because of some of the relic situations, and when you're winning less in Grand Arena, you're also accumulating Zetas at a slower rate, and that's starting to catch up to me. And with Cal Kestis, we are going to take him up to gear 12, maybe we'll stop at 11, because one of the things that I'd like to do is just to show how functional these characters can be at these stages. I can only pass through these gear levels once, so I try not to rush to relics if I don't have. Actually, no, we are going to rush him to relics. Man, I kind of didn't want to do this. No, we'll take him to relics next week. Because I have the Datacron for Cal Kestis. That's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later in this video. But for this week, since I only get to do it once, we're going to leave him at gear 11. Don't follow what I'm doing, though. This is a do as I say, not as I do kind of situation. I like to have an informed opinion on some of these gear levels, so I don't want to do it right now. But we will drop the Zetas. Maybe I should reread through some of these. I'm pretty sure I want to put all of them on. Impetuous Assault's important. The Leadership, I definitely am going to. Well, I guess not. And then the Unique we're going to do. I read these a long time ago. Maybe some of these I could question whether or not I want to put them on. There's Zetas, though. I generally just put Zetas on. I will throw down a couple of these gear pieces. You can see I'm completely done with that piece. Like, everybody who needs one has one. We will throw this one down. Similar kind of situation. Almost done with that piece. I could throw down the Cairo. Like, I have all this gear saved up to the proper amounts. I'm just free to put this stuff down. I'm just looking at these finishers. I can even just put this down. There's really nothing. I'm going to hold off. The next major milestone here is Leia Organa. You can see here with Scout Trooper, Captain Drogon, we are done farming. So we are going to take these characters up, and we are not just done farming. They're shards. We are done with all of the gear prep. We saw that within the spreadsheet. So that's something that we're going to do on top of this. We're first going to bring up the stars. Scout Trooper here, very much looking forward to testing up. Fairly usable at lower stars, but not hugely. Probably 5 would be better than where I had been using him. But he's really going to shine at relics in these higher levels, so I'm looking forward to being able to take advantage of that. Drogon here, I tried 3-star gear 11 testing. That there was not a lot to take advantage of. That's why I even left off the Zeta on his basic ability, because there was no point for it with the characters. The basic ability Zeta is Leia dependent, so until you have Leia, you can leave it off. I left it off. And take him up to 7 stars. Done with Drogon. That happened very quickly. Very happy that he ended up on a Cantina nodes. You hit those Cantina nodes, the 3 refreshes. Those are very fast farms. That's a Grand Arena one, right? We'll probably put this one on when I have Leia. We're not going to put that one on ahead of time. But now it is about taking him up to relics. And again, everything is prepared in advance. We will now take him up to Relic 7. Everyone else is pretty close. We do have all the signal data, all the relic materials ready. We'll try and make this go as quickly as possible. But one of the things that we are going to do is I'm actually not going to start the Leia farm today. I'm going to start in a few hours. And one of the pieces of relicking we're not going to show in this video because I'm going to finish the recording of this now. And there's something that I want to do after the Grand Arena lock-in. And that is with Captain Rex. I want him to be at Gear 12 for Grand Arena because there is some specific testing that I want to do and take advantage of for at least one more week. And that is I want to use him at Gear 12 up against Third Sister. Now that is going to require my opponents not to set down certain Datacrons along with their Third Sister that could interrupt that. And hopefully we are going to get the opportunity to test this. But he is going to... We had some very impressive results with my Captain Rex at the last 5v5. We couldn't test it out in 3v3. 3v3, unfortunately. But in a cleanup scenario, with a second attempt, it wasn't a cleanup scenario, it was a second attempt with preloaded turn meter where the cooldowns on the abilities had been messed up, Captain Rex beat Third Sister. I need to know if he can do it in a first attempt. Because if he can do that, that is potentially game-changing, and it means for basically any player you need to get yourself Captain Rex. He's already very good, obviously, besides that, but if you are able to get a reliable Third Sister counter out of him at gear 12, that means you are freeing up a ton of other squads, and it might basically make Third Sister a poor character to place on defense. It's why I think some of the Lord Vader and Third Sister comps are a little bit more interesting and might be the way to go. Or we see Maul go to Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon, and we don't have to worry about taking Maul away from Lord Vader because Third Sister goes there, because Third Sister might not be a viable defensive team if she can be beaten that cheaply. So this is something we gotta test out. I think it's very important. It's major impacts, and it works at relics. Like, yeah, Captain Rex is gonna do it at relics, but he's also a bit of a project, so this might not be an option for everybody at every stage. Now we gotta add a couple relic materials to a couple of these other characters. Captain Han here, he needs to go to relic 5. We'll add these couple relic levels. All this stuff's been ready. Could have done it, but I probably should have just done this before so we didn't have to do it now. We gotta do it now. Minimal stuff, characters I don't really take too much advantage of, but this does allow them to have a little bit more territory battle usage as well as usage with Datacrons, and a little bit more flexibility on the teams that you can place them on. We'll see if they get some added characters in the future which boost the viability, because there's like the Sana team, not a hugely important team or anything. It's okay. Now down below, I think it might just be Captain Rex now, right? Because we are done with, these are all Relic 3 characters, those are Relic 5 characters, Relic 7s. Princess Nisa we gotta do, we'll take her up to our Relic 7. Relic 5, great with the Datacron, but we did that testing in 3v3. We can't use the Datacron in 5v5 unless I undersize, so we're done testing her at those levels. Very impressive. That Datacron, though, from what I hear, it can at least beat JML in a 5v5 scenario. Now with my Lord Vader, because that is some of the future projects that we are going to be working on. This again is where that project stands. We're basically just Kairos taking them up to relics. Actually, one of the things that I do have is I have the Gear 12 Plus piece. You know what? We're going to do that, because I can drop down these Gear 12 Plus pieces and make my Marauder a little bit better, make the squad a little bit better. I've got all this gear prepped. Like, I have the fusion furnaces for this. Because this is what I mean by showing that spreadsheet. I've been working ahead towards a lot of these kinds of projects. Now I've left a lot of this stuff off in the past because the Bad Batch are such a good squad that punches up so high that I liked having them a little bit weaker so that I could prove that point. Like, I loved having them at Gear 11 forever and showing the amount of relic squads they can beat at Gear 11. But the Marauder gives us sufficient incentive to now place on these extra gear pieces to boost up the quality of these characters. Echo, of course, I'm going to drop this one down on. Now, Kyrotechs, we don't have enough of these to spare, so we are not going to take them up to relics right now, but I am very happy to just drop down all of these Gear 12 Plus pieces. Zam's been serviceable at Gear 12 without those. But that's what I'm talking about, how close I am now to Lord Vader. So close that I have to get him. And what's been nice about a character like Lord Vader is a lot of these requirements just happen on their own. I was not actively working towards Vader, but you got to get Padme for other reasons. Gas is an excellent character. You build out a gas squad, you get ARC Trooper and Echo. Embo is the better character on a Jabba squad, so he makes Jabba more dangerous if you have him, so you add Embo. Dooku for Sith Eternal Eternal Emperor, build him out. Tarkin and Newt as well. So unlock Sith Eternal Emperor, you get a little progress towards Lord Vader. And then Tuskens are a solid squad where I already have Jabba with a Relic Aurora. So now adding a Relic Tusken Raider is going to boost that squad a little bit. Zam Wessel for Fennec. You can see just all of these pieces kind of falling into place where without even making it a priority, I got most of the way towards Lord Vader. So what you're going to see me do with Captain Rex, or actually not see me do, is after lock-in, I will take Captain Rex up to Relics and then start farming tickets. And the next time we do one of these roster videos, you are going to see me gearing up Leia. So it is stuff that will be happening, but happening off screen, off of record. What we are going to do with the rest of this video is start working towards a character like Mandalorian Bo. We are going to take our Paz Vizsla here up to Gear 11. Gear 11, of course, being that staging ground where I bring every marquee character up right away so that I can test and use them right away. Because one of the things that I'm doing is I want to know if they have low star viability, but I also want to put them into situations like Conquest or Grand Arena and I'll see how they can help me with feats, or I said Grand Arena, but Conquest or Galactic Challenges. Because even at 3 stars, Gear 11 is going to be enough for these characters to be significant contributors. And we are going to give him his Zeta. That seems like one of those Zetas where he's just not going to function as he's supposed to without the Zeta. Now with these, yeah, this one as well. We're going to drop these. And with the Omicron, we're not going to do a territory battle Ami. With Datacrons, we teased this a little bit while we were gearing up Cal Kestis to Gear 11. We have the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis Datacron because I was working ahead. And I think this is a very important thing to do. That if you think there is the possibility that you could have one of these characters unlocked during the lifespan of the Datacron set, work ahead for it. Now, we're not going to use it for the first week of Grand Arena because I want to do that Gear 11 testing, but weeks 2 and 3, we are going to take Cal Kestis up and use this Kron and feel what its impact is. But I want to emphasize this because this is a Datacron set that we can't work on anymore, at least cheaply work on anymore. So it was one that I needed to have the foresight to make sure that I got the Kron in the hopes that the event would return in time. That doesn't always happen. It didn't happen with like Grand Inquisitor and other Datacrons like that. But I've done this before with Afra, with Jabba. Even though with Jabba, I got to use the Datacron for a week. With Afra, I was able to use it for a month. Now, in this case, what we do have the opportunity is to work on a Datacron for a character like Leia or Captain Drogon. And these are Datacrons that I am going to make sure that I get right now. Now, this one, we know that we are going to get those characters unlocked during the lifespan of the set because we're closer to it in this case. But I do want to emphasize that even if you do not have a character ready, if you think that you might have that character ready while these Datacron sets are active, go after it. Datacrons are cheap enough now that you can give it a shot and try and get it. Spend a little bit of resources to get the Datacron materials built up prior to the Grand Arena. Enough to take at least this Rebel Datacron up to Relic 9. We'll just see if we get a little lucky. We'll do a reroll or two. We're not going to spend too much time here. That's actually one of the ones I'm definitely targeting. So we're going to keep that. I want Drogon and I want Leia. We'll reroll some of this stuff later, but I think what I'd like to do at this point is maybe we'll grab another one of the light side or dark side crons, bring it up to level 5. Actually, this one's already at 5. Let's take this one higher. We don't have enough of this material here. I just got to keep farming. But this is another Rebel Cron. I'm fine re-rolling this stuff later if I get the right level 9 ability, but I think we're going to have to just call it for now because I just don't have enough. We're going to have to spend a week farming resources to work a little bit more on this. But we will get Drogon. We will get Leia. Maybe Wedge, maybe one other. We'll make a determination there, but I'll get a bunch of these. I tend to have a lot of level 9 Datacrons. This is actually kind of a lower amount for what I've been getting lately. One of the big things that we are going to be trying to test and exploit during the 5v5 season is Imperial Super Commando, Gar Saxon. We took them to Gear 12. We did a little bit of 3v3 testing with them. This is stuff that we're going to want to exploit during this 5v5 season, really get to push this. I will drop down this tactical piece, this is a cheap piece to put down, but some of these other ones, I think we're going to leave off, although the armor here, you know what, let's drop the armor. That's a pretty valuable, but also cheap enough piece where it doesn't really mess up other things that we're working on. It's just that none of this stuff is things that I was planning to work on, but they are pilots, and pilots is one of the things I said that I was going to give a little bit of attention, and this is something that we can do. Now, one of the other things I'm a little interested to do today is to look at these Cal Kestis characters, because yes, we did the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis event, which is a pretty easy event without any of the Gear 12 plus pieces on, because I like to go after minimal things as much as possible. But now there's no reason to not put on some of these pieces, and these are some pretty excellent characters. So dropping like the armor here onto Seer Junda, we're gonna do really the characters that we use more often, but some of these cheap pieces that don't really matter, like this tactical piece that we can drop down. Visors are always good to put down because the fusion furnace here is cheap, plus the visor is cheap. So we can put down some of these left side pieces. Multi-tool and Nubian scanner, that's more in demand. I don't want to do that. And same there with the bayonet. With her, I don't want to put the med pack down, or yeah, the purple med pack really is the issue there, not the gold med pack. So we're not going to do Marin. Tarful, I don't really use enough, but maybe the armor plating is an interesting piece, but he's not the reason why that squad dies. What I am thinking about doing today, though, is I want to test out this Omicron. I think I'm going to put it on, and we're going to do it. I need to have an opinion on it. So we will try that out for this Grand Arena period. With pilots, there's going to be one that I want to do. We have a single pilot that's not already at Gear 12. It is young Lando, just a couple pieces here. Not a ton of reason to do it, but we're going to do it anyway just because I want to be done taking all pilots up to Gear 12. I think I'm going to leave these Omegas off though, because he's not really a character that I use or care about. It would technically help the ship a little bit, not enough for me to do it. And then I think the other thing that we're going to take a look at here, and I think the way that we're going to wrap up here is just talk about the next things, the next big priorities now that we have taken care of Cal Kestis and GL Leia is well on her way. What I've been hoping to do, wanting to do, is really focus on increasing the quality of my high relics, which are very weak right now. I want to get a Relic 9 JML. I want to add at least Relic 7 to the Hutt Cartel altogether, bring Jabba maybe to Relic 8, my cat, bring her up to Relic 7, Starkiller and Afra, I would like to bring them up to Relic 8, Maul up to Relic 7 or 8. All these really high quality journey guide characters like Gas, Jedi Knight Luke, all up to Relic 8, and then a lot of these counters that are really important to rely on. I want my Fennec squad brought up to relics because we are relying on characters that make some of these counters less reliable, especially as our opponents get higher and higher relics. Iden is a character that I want to be brought up to relics for the ship, and the Sith trio is a squad that I want to strengthen quite a bit. And then I want to bring my unaligned force users to really take advantage of a Malicos squad. So Ahsoka Tano, Seer Junda, Cal Kestis, Kylo Ren unmasked. I want him brought up to relics so that we can get some really high quality teams put together to really strengthen the overall quality of my Grand Arena roster. So I want to eliminate the weaknesses that I have and to create a bunch of new weapons for offense and defense. And that is going to be the priority as we work towards Lord Vader, because we are going to need a little bit of time to accumulate those Chirotechs. That is going to limit things. But also on the horizon, we do have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon a month away, who's going to be also demanding Zetas, demanding Kairos as we build out that Maul squad, which also means that Super Commando Gar Saxon needs to be brought up. And then we have Mando Bo, of course, with two more marquee characters that are going to be requiring resources on top of Mando Bo herself. Now, with her being a Relic 7 character, those farms for the shards mean that we're probably not going to be able to get her until like January or February, depending on when those character releases happen. If they happen this month, in the next couple weeks, it'll take us about a month and a half to do the shard farming. So sometime mid-January to the end of January is when I would expect to have those shards farmed by, and hopefully have all the Kairos, signal data, and relic materials ready to take advantage right away. And with how gear has been going, that should be a reasonable thing to do. And we will wrap it up there with one of the bigger versions of this video that we have done. I think the Leviathan was the other really big one where we had some major steps forward. This video though, getting ready for GL Leia, we'll have her probably the next time I put out one of these videos. So I'm really looking forward to having those big changes to my roster. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.